All right, let's talk about something that's either a developer's best friend or their worst nightmare, your Git and GitHub workflow. We're going to break down a really practical, production-ready framework that'll save you from all that chaos and actually help you ship better code and do it faster. So let's just dive right in.
So let's start with the problem itself. You might be asking, why do we even need a system for this stuff? Well, if you've ever had that sinking feeling in your stomach while staring at a messy Git history, you already know why. A lack of structure can absolutely grind your progress to a halt, and it doesn't matter if you're a solo dev or part of a huge team. So be honest for a second. Is your Git history just chaos? Have you ever looked at your Git log and had literally no clue what's going on? You know, just a tangled web of commits with messages like fix stuff and branches that haven't been touched in months. If any of that sounds even a little bit familiar, then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Look, most of us fall into one of two camps, right? On one side, you've got these super complex systems, like the full-blown enterprise GitFlow. It's got a rule for absolutely everything, which sounds good, but it's so rigid it can feel like you're trying to code in a straitjacket. Then, on the other side, you have the Wild West, just pure chaos, pushing directly to the main branch. Sure, it feels fast and easy in the moment, but trust me, it's just an accident waiting to happen.
And that brings us to the solution, a simple but really powerful framework. Think of it as the perfect middle ground. It's designed to give you just enough structure to keep things clean and high quality, but without getting you bogged down in a bunch of rules you don't actually need.
So what makes this approach so great? Well, for one, it's super easy for beginners to pick up, but it's also strong enough to scale up as your team gets bigger and your project gets more complex. The whole philosophy here is minimal rules, maximum clarity. And look, this isn't just some theory I cooked up. This is a system that's been battle-tested in real live production projects. It just works.
Okay, let's dig into the core building blocks. We're going to start with the absolute foundation of this whole system, your branching strategy. Seriously, if you get this part right, everything else just kind of falls into place.
This flow right here is basically the heart of the entire system. First, you have your main branch. Think of this as your production code. It's what your users are actually using right now. It's sacred, you don't touch it directly. Then you have develop. This is where all the active work gets merged together for testing. And this is so crucial for teams because it's where you can see how all the new features play together before they ever get near production. And finally, every single new feature or task gets its own branch. It's this separation that keeps your main branch so clean and stable.
Okay, so let's flesh this out a bit. You've got your feature branches for new stuff and bug fix branches for, well, fixing bugs. But I really want you to notice the hotfix branch. This thing is your emergency escape hatch. When something critical breaks in production, you create a hotfix branch directly from main. This lets you patch the issue super fast, merge it back, and you can do all of that without messing up the regular flow of work happening on the develop branch. It's an absolutely critical tool for when things go wrong. So, a clean branch structure is awesome, but it's really only half the battle. The other half is all about clear communication. And we're going to get there by standardizing how we talk about the changes we're making. Now, this might seem small, but it is a total game changer. By just prefixing every single commit message with a simple type, like feat, fix, or refactor, your Git history completely transforms. It stops being a messy log and becomes a readable, searchable changelog. You can see the intent of every change instantly. Believe me, when you're trying to figure out why something broke 6 months from now, this is going to be an absolute lifesaver. And we can take that exact same logic and apply it to our GitHub labels. Now, the key here isn't to create a million different labels for everything. No, the goal is to have a small, useful set that tells you what you need to know at a glance. Just by looking at an issue, you should be able to answer what kind of work is this, how important is it, and where is it in the process. That's it. This makes your project board so much easier to scan and manage.
Okay, so how do you make sure you get all this great information right from the very beginning? Templates. It's that simple. Just look at this bug report template. It forces the person reporting the bug to tell you exactly what you need to know, especially how to reproduce it. This completely eliminates all that painful back and forth where you're asking, hey, what browser were you using? Or what were the exact steps? It's all right there from the start. And the exact same idea applies to your pull requests. A good PR template basically standardizes your whole review process. It makes the developer explain what they did, link it back to the original issue, and double-check their work against a handy little checklist. The result? Code reviews become faster, way more thorough, and honestly, a whole lot less stressful for everybody involved.
All right, so we've got our structure and our communication down. Now it's time to build our safety net. This next part is all about protecting the quality of our code and, just as importantly, automating all the boring, repetitive stuff so we don't have to think about it.
Let's get serious for a moment and talk about the absolute non-negotiable rules for your main branch. Rule number 1, no direct pushes, ever. I mean it. Every single change has to come through a pull request. That PR needs, at a minimum, one other person to approve it. And finally, all of your automated status checks have to pass with flying colors. Think of these rules as the ultimate security guards for your production code. Nothing gets past them.
And here's the best part. You don't have to remember to do all this checking manually. This is where the magic of automation comes in. We can use something like GitHub Actions to put all of our quality checks on autopilot. It can automatically run your tests, check your code for style issues, you name it. The machine handles the tedious quality control, which frees you up to focus on the fun part, actually building stuff.
Okay, so I know what some of you might be thinking right now. This all sounds great, but isn't it, a bit of overkill for just me? And that is a fantastic question. The key thing to remember is that this framework isn't a rigid set of laws. It's more like a toolkit, and you can pick and choose the tools that make sense for you.
So let's look at exactly how you can adapt it. If you're working by yourself, maybe you simplify things. You could totally drop the develop branch and just work with main and your feature branches. But the second you add even one more person, you'll probably want that full setup back with the develop branch and required pull requests. It's all about choosing the right amount of structure for your specific situation.
Okay, we're almost there. You've got the building blocks, you know how to tweak them for your own needs. So to wrap this all up, let's just quickly go over some of the most common mistakes people make so you can avoid them from the get-go.
These are the big ones right here. First, don't go crazy and create a million labels. Keep it simple. Second, and I can't say this enough, never, ever commit directly to main. Third, resist that temptation to write lazy commit messages like updates. And finally, please take an afternoon to set up some basic automation and those templates. I promise you that little bit of effort up front will save you so many hours and headaches later on.
I really want to leave you with this final thought because it perfectly captures the whole point of this framework. It says, a good Git and GitHub setup should disappear into the background and let you focus on building. And that's it, right? The goal isn't to become an expert at managing Git. The goal is to have a system that's so smooth and so reliable that you don't even have to think about it. It just becomes invisible, and that frees you up to focus on what you actually love to do, building awesome stuff.
So I'll leave you with one last question to chew on. Take a really honest look at how you're working right now. Is your workflow actually helping you build things better and faster? Or is it just getting in the way? Really think about it. Thanks for watching.